Hey there, y'all! I'm Avery, and today I've got a What's for Dinner video for you. I'm going to show you all the dinners that we ate this last week, and I will leave all recipes that I used in the description box. So let's get right into the video. We are having Flounder Francaise for dinner tonight, and here I've got some wild-caught flounder. They're very thin, so I'm going to be careful not to overcook them. I'm going to bread them in some seasoned flour mix. It's just flour with salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and a little paprika. And then I'm going to dredge them in the egg mixture, and then I'll cook them in a hot pan for a couple minutes per side. The sauce is just here. I have a mix of 1/4 cup of Pinot Grigio, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and 1/4 cup of water, as well as some butter, and we're going to use some of the reserved flour as well to make the sauce. We are having our Flounder Francaise with a side of asparagus, which I'm just going to roast these in the toaster oven at 400 for about 7 minutes. I put some garlic. I'm going to add some avocado oil, salt, and pepper. When they come out, I will squeeze a little lemon. Also, some penne pasta. This is the banza pasta made from chickpeas. I use this all the time. It has extra protein and fiber, and I always cook mine for the banza for the longer amount of time it recommends, so I'm going to do these for 9 minutes. Normally, I know for pasta, you usually want to do the lower amount of time that it recommends so that you get al dente, but for these banza noodles, not the case, so I'm going to do these for 9 minutes. I'm going to make an apple cider vinaigrette that I'll probably use for most of our salads this week. All I'm going to do is add some chopped shallots. I smashed a garlic clove, add those to the jar, 1 part apple cider vinegar, 2 parts extra virgin olive oil, a little scoopful of Dijon mustard, some salt and pepper to taste, and some Italian herb seasoning. Shake it up in the jar, and then I just store it on the countertop and use it throughout the week. Our starter salad tonight is a mixed green salad with carrots, cucumber, radish, sunflower seeds, and apple cider vinaigrette. Tonight's dinner is Flounder Francaise with penne pasta and roasted asparagus. I'm making some veggie broth to use in the clam chowder. I just pulled out some of the veggie scraps that I had saved in my freezer. I tried to pull mainly onion, carrots, and celery just so the flavor would be pretty neutral. And I added a little bit of rosemary, a bay leaf, some garlic cloves, and I'm just sauteing this for 10 minutes on medium high. And then I'm going to add the water, some salt and pepper, and I will cover it, cook it on medium low for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then strain everything. I strained the veggie broth, and here's how it looks. I just put it in one of these large jars, and I'll put whatever I don't use in the fridge. I'm just going to saute some bacon until it's cooked through, and then I'll remove it to a paper towel lined plate. I left about a tablespoon of the bacon grease in the pan and then added 2 tablespoons of butter, and now I'm going to saute some onions on medium-low for about 10 minutes. Next, I'm going to add in some medium diced celery and carrots, and I didn't have any fresh thyme, so I chopped up some fresh rosemary really small, plus a little bit of dried thyme. I'm going to add that, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a little splash of Pinot Grigio, and then I'm going to cook that for another 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll add in about 3 tablespoons of flour. I've just added my potatoes, and now I'm going to add clam juice. These are the clams that I'm using. They're wild caught. I got these on sale at Whole Foods. I'm going to add all the clam juice from there and reserve the clams. I'm going to add, this is a mix of 1 cup of the veggie broth I made and 1 cup of the milk. And I'm also going to add a bay leaf and bring that to a boil. This is coming up to a boil. I'm going to reduce it and let it simmer for about 12 to 15 minutes until the potatoes are soft. I'm still simmering it, but I just gave it a taste and I want it to have a little more punch of flavor. So I'm going to add just a small splash of tamari sauce and a little bit of Tabasco sauce. My potatoes are softened, so what I'm going to do now is add the chopped up clams, a little bit of this parsley. I'm going to save a lot of it to put on top fresh. This is a mixture of 1/2 cup of heavy cream and 1/4 cup of milk. And I know heavy cream kind of gets a bad rep as being, not that healthy, but actually, if you look at it, there's no sugar in here. So in my opinion, if you get organic heavy cream, I don't consider it unhealthy as long as you're not using it, all the time. Considering milk, you've got 12 grams of sugar. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm also going to add back my bacon, and then we'll be ready to eat. We're going to serve this with a little bit of bread. We're going to have a kale salad for our starter salad tonight and tomorrow night. So I'm going to make the dressing for both nights right now. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, some salt, pepper, oregano, a small squirt of honey, and 1 grated garlic clove to a jar and shake it up. I massaged down the kale for our kale salad tonight, and 2 things I like to do differently with a kale salad versus a regular salad is first I like to add the dressing to my kale salad 10 minutes before we're ready to eat. And the other thing is I like to serve my kale salads at room temperature. Our starter salad tonight is a kale salad with red onions, carrots, broccoli, cherries, and sunflower seeds. Tonight's dinner is clam chowder served with a side of French bread. If you have sourdough, you could use that too, and that would probably be even better. We are having Seitan fajitas for dinner tonight. We've been trying to do at least one vegetarian meal per week, and I've never tried this before, so it's made mainly out of wheat and a little bit of soy. And for one serving, and there's 2.5 servings per container, there's 22 grams of protein, so it's a pretty good protein source. So let's actually see what this looks like. We'll see what it looks like together. Oh gosh. Okay, so that's what that looks like. I'm going to, gonna say slice it up, but it looks like maybe it's already in little strips. So I'm just gonna put that into this container where I have some grated garlic. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of lime juice, 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, a teaspoon of cumin, a little bit of red pepper, a little bit of oregano, some black pepper, and then I'm going to marinate that in the fridge for about an hour. Hopefully it tastes better than it looked. I'm going to make some cassava flour tortillas for our fajitas tonight. This is a great recipe. You can use these for anything you would use a normal tortilla for, and they're gluten-free, grain-free, and the only other ingredients besides the cassava flour is some avocado oil, baking soda, cream of tartar, and salt, along with some water.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
If you're going to use the tortillas right away, you can go ahead and do that. The other option is lay them down on a baking sheet on some parchment paper. You can lay them in 2 layers. You just want to make sure everything's touching the parchment paper and not each other so that they don't stick. I'm going to put the other ones on top. Put it in the freezer flat like this for a couple hours until they get frozen, and then you can just stack them up in a paper bag and use them whenever you want. I'm going to make a little bit of refried beans to go in our fajitas. All I did was melted some butter on medium heat, added onions and a little bit of salt, cooked that for 5 minutes, added a clove of minced garlic, some cumin, chili powder, and oregano, and now I'm just getting that a little roasty toasty in here to bring out the flavor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 can of pinto beans that I drained, and then I semi-rinsed them out in the can. Last time I made these, I didn't bother actually getting out the colander to rinse them to save a dish, and it turned out just fine. So sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to actually rinse them out in a colander because it's going to be completely fine. And now I'm just going to add half a cup of water, cover these, and cook them for 5 minutes on medium heat. Then I'll remove the lid, reduce the heat to low, and mash them up. Here's how the refried beans are looking. I turned off the heat because they do tend to dry up a little bit more, and I don't want them to be too dry. Here I've got a cast iron pan preheating on medium high, and the seitan is done marinating. I think it looks a little bit better than it did straight out of the package. I'm going to cook that for about 5 minutes until it's golden brown. Then I also chopped up some onion and some bell peppers. I'm going to cook those in the skillet on medium high for about 5 minutes, and then when those are done, I'll season them with a little salt, pepper, and oregano, and I'll then just add back the seitan to warm it through. I'm making some guacamole to put on our fajitas tonight, and I just chopped up some onions small and then squeezed over some lime juice and sprinkled some salt and let that sit for like 10 minutes. Now I'm just going to add in my avocado and use my potato masher to mash that in. I prefer to do it this way because the guacamole will not brown as quickly, and the taste with the lime juice won't be as harsh if you let it sit in the onion first. In addition to what I've already showed you, the other toppings that we're going to put on our fajitas are some of this pepper jack cheese. This tastes so good I had to put it away so that I wouldn't accidentally eat it all before we ate. Some sour cream, cilantro. If you like cilantro, you might want to just go ahead and add this straight to your guacamole, and tomatoes, but my boyfriend doesn't like it, so I have to keep it separate. And then these are just some chopped up tomatoes and onions with a little lime juice. For our starter salad tonight, we're having the same salad we had last night, except for apples instead of cherries and walnuts instead of sunflower seeds. Tonight's dinner is seitan fajitas, or as my boyfriend's been calling them, Satan's fajitas, with some pepper jack cheese, fajita veggies, refried beans, cilantro, and a side of guac, sour cream, and tomatoes. Tonight we are having bunless burgers, and we are going to have some fries on the side, so it won't be completely low carb, but we saw that these were on sale at Whole Foods last week, and they're grass-fed burgers, and they have some veggies in them as well. If you're interested, here's the nutrition facts and the ingredients, and I just wanted to try these because we've been trying to incorporate more plant-based foods, so I will let you guys know how these end up tasting. I'm just going to cook them in a cast iron skillet according to the package directions. Going to top those with a little Munster cheese. I thought that would be fun to use instead of just, we normally use Swiss or cheddar, so I wanted to try something different. Going to do a bed of romaine lettuce, some tomatoes that I put salt and pepper on, some red onions. These are some of the Grillo's pickles. These are really good. I ran out of the chips, so I just cut up some of the regular ones. We're going to have that. I whipped up a quick homemade mayo by combining 2 parts avocado oil, 1 part milk, and a splash of apple cider vinegar, and just using an immersion blender. And then we're also going to have some Dijon mustard. To make the oven-baked french fries to go with our bunless burgers tonight, I cut up some potatoes into french fry shapes, and then I got my tap water as hot as possible and covered the french fries, and I'm letting them sit for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to drain them and dry them as well as I can with some kitchen towels. This just makes sure that the inside of the potato gets cooked. Then I'm going to coat the potatoes in some avocado oil and some of this truffle salt. We're going to do truffle fries tonight, but you can use any seasoning that you like on your fries. Then I will preheat the oven to 450 degrees, lay the fries out on a single layer on my baking sheet, and I'm going to cook them for 20 minutes and then flip them and cook them for 10 more minutes. I'm going to make some ketchup to dip our fries in tonight, and the main reason I make ketchup is because I'm allergic to cinnamon, and it's very hard to find a ketchup without cinnamon, but even if you're not allergic, this is a great idea because you can control the ingredients, and also there's a lot of sugar in ketchup. So I use a monk fruit substitute. So all I'm going to do is add like 4 to 5 tablespoons of monk fruit, 1 can of tomato paste. This is 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar plus 1 cup of water in my measuring cup here, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then 3/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Just gonna add everything in the pot. You can also add a little bit of cinnamon if you're not allergic and you like that. Gonna cook it for 30 minutes covered and then 15 minutes uncovered, just probably like medium low. And I'm gonna stir it every 5 minutes, and then you can keep it in the fridge for like 3 weeks. Our starter salad tonight is a mixed green salad with purple cabbage, carrot, celery, cucumber, radish, green bell pepper, some feta cheese, sunflower seeds, and apple cider vinaigrette. Tonight's dinner is bunless burgers with Munster cheese, mayo, mustard, red onion, tomato, pickles, some truffle fries, and homemade ketchup. We are having teriyaki chicken for dinner tonight, and funny enough, I actually never liked teriyaki chicken when I would get it at a restaurant. I know a lot of people do really love it, but this recipe I tried and I really like this teriyaki chicken. It's supposed to be a little bit more of an authentic Japanese recipe, so I think that's what makes it taste so good. So here I've got some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm going to cut those into 1-inch pieces and season with salt and pepper. Then I'll cook those on the pan. I'll stir fry them for about 2 minutes per side, and then I will add my ginger, garlic, and my sauce, which is going to be 2 tablespoons of tamari soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. You can use just plain of one or the other, but I like to mix them because I prefer the taste of tamari, but the coconut aminos have a lot lower sodium. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of each of those. Then here I'm going to do 1/4 cup of this Lucky Dog sake. This is actually so cute. It comes like a little juice box, so I think I'm going to try and squirt it out of the top hole and then drink the rest like a juice box just because that sounds fun. Then I'm also going to add 1/4 cup of mirin and 2 tablespoons of honey, and that's going to be my sauce. The rice is done with the 10 minutes sitting for 10 minutes. Let's see how it looks. Looks pretty good. I just need to fluff it up. I'm going to make some steamed broccoli to go with our teriyaki chicken tonight. So I'm just bringing about 1 inch of water to boil, and I also smashed in 1 garlic clove. I'm going to add my steamer basket. Yes, I need a new one. And I will add in my broccoli once this comes to a boil, cover it with a lid, and cook it for about 5 to 6 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to add in a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. Now I'm just going to drain the water out of the bottom, put the broccoli into the pot with a little butter, salt, and pepper, and these will be ready to eat. We are having a side of steamed rice with our teriyaki chicken, so I just rinsed 1 cup of rice and let it dry. Then in here I've got a little bit of avocado oil and a smashed garlic clove. I'm just going to let that cook for about 5 minutes on medium-low heat. Then I'm going to go ahead and add in my rice and toast that in the pan until it smells fragrant. Then I'm going to add 1.5 cups of chicken bone broth. Bone broth is really good for arthritis because it's high in glucosamine, which is good for your joints. So I'm going to use that instead of water. Once I add that, I'm going to wait for it to come to a boil, and then I'll add 1 teaspoon of salt, cover my pot with a lid, and cook it for 15 minutes, then turn off the heat and let it rest for 10 minutes. After it finished cooking for 15 minutes, I just turned off the heat and let the rice sit for 10 minutes, and it turned out really nice. I just removed those the little pieces of garlic that I had in there from the beginning so that nobody accidentally bites into one of those. So I'm just going to leave this on the stove until we're finished preparing everything else. Our starter salad tonight is a mixed green salad with romaine lettuce, carrots, radish, cucumber, green bell pepper, sunflower seeds, and apple cider vinaigrette. Tonight's dinner is teriyaki chicken with steamed broccoli topped with sesame seeds and green onion. Tonight we are having chicken broccoli cheddar crepes for dinner, and I'm going to start by making some grain-free crepes. So in my large mixing bowl, I'm going to add 1 cup of cassava flour, 1 cup of coconut milk, and what I did was just shook that can up really well because there's going to be some hard, solid chunks of fat and then some more liquidy water parts, and I just want it to be as mixed up as possible, but I've made this before and not had the coconut milk perfectly mixed up, so don't worry about it if you kind of get a little bit more of the fat or a little bit more water, because you're not going to use the whole can. Then I've got here 2 tablespoons of melted coconut oil. I'm going to add that to the bowl, 2 eggs, 1 cup of water, and a pinch of salt. Then I'm just going to use my hand mixer. This was my mom's from before I was born, so it's old, but it works. I'll mix everything up, and then I'll just let the batter sit for 10 minutes before I start cooking it on the pan.
Yeah, I got a question.
The batter has been setting for 10 minutes, and I'm about to start making the crepes. So hopefully the first one, sometimes turns out a little bit weird. We'll see how it goes. So I've got a 1/4 measuring cup, and my pan is preheated on medium-low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1/4 scoop. I'm going to put it on my pan and swirl it around while also trying to hold this camera. And I'll let it cook for 1 to 2 minutes until the top looks dry, and then I'll flip it and cook it for 1 more minute. And then I'm going to remove it to my paper towel lined tray here. And I'm going to use this same baking sheet later, so I'm not dirtying a dish unnecessarily. And another thing to mention is that just like what I did with the cassava flour tortillas, if you have extra of these, you can stack them up with parchment paper between each one and put them in the freezer and use them whenever you want. Crepes are done, and my biggest tip for these is don't get frustrated if the first couple don't turn out. It does take a few to get the hang of it. In my case, I needed to cook them just a little bit longer before I tried to flip them, and then they turned out pretty good. So I also got the chicken done cooking. I'm going to cut that into small cubes. Now I've got some broccoli here. I'm just going to cook that in the same pan I did my crepes with some butter, and then I'll season with salt and pepper. I'll probably cook those for about 5 minutes. Next, I'm going to cook my chicken in the oven. I seasoned it with salt, pepper, and some Italian seasoning, poured over some olive oil, and I preheated my oven to 425. And here I've got my probe thermometer. If you don't have one of these, you really do need one so that you can cook your meat accurately in the oven. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, and then once the timer goes off, I'm going to insert my probe thermometer into the larger chicken, set the alert on here for 160 degrees, and when the chicken reaches 160 degrees, I'm going to remove it from the oven. I cut up my chicken and I mixed it in this bowl with the cooked broccoli. I also shredded up half of a block of sharp cheddar cheese. You can use pre-shredded, but it will not melt as well, so I recommend doing this. It's also a little bit cheaper. And then I'm going to add about a cup of sour cream, and I'm just going to mix everything in the bowl. Then what I'm going to do is just in the center of each crepe, I'm just going to put my filling, and then I'll just kind of fold it over like that. And then I'll put it into, or you kind of do like a cone shape, more so like that. And then I'm going to put it in the oven. I'll probably put it like 300 to 325 and just kind of keep an eye on it until everything's heated through and melted. And also I was going to mention, you don't have to do this. You can do any filling combination. So another one that I really like is deli turkey with Swiss cheese, tomatoes, spinach, red onions, and you can do like a dill ranch or something like that. So kind of make this your own, and this is a really great option that you can do a lot of different ways. Our starter salad tonight is a mixed green salad with carrots, radish, cucumber, a little bit of celery, sunflower seeds, and apple cider vinaigrette that I made a few days ago. Tonight's dinner is chicken, broccoli, and cheese crepes. We are having breakfast bowls for dinner tonight, and I'm going to start by roasting some sweet potatoes in the oven at 425 for 30 minutes. I season them with some salt, pepper, cumin, garlic powder, and paprika, and some avocado oil. While those are cooking, I chopped up some slices of bacon. I'm just going to cook these on the stove until they're cooked through. Here's everything that's going to make up our breakfast bowl. So we have the sweet potatoes that I roasted, the bacon, some cilantro for me, green onions for the boyfriend. I'm going to slice up some avocado. I've got some tomatoes mixed with some chopped onion, lime juice, and salt, some pickled jalapeno peppers, some Tabasco sauce. Here is the black beans that I cooked with some onion and red bell pepper, a little bit of sour cream. And then I'm going to scramble some eggs. And my intention was also to have some shredded cheese over these bowls, but a little mouse ate our cheese. So I'm just going to add a little bit to the eggs while I cook them. I'm going to scramble them. Funny enough, scrambled eggs are kind of like my weak point in cooking. I'm not very good at making them for some reason, which people tend to find odd. They're like, scrambled eggs are the easiest thing to make, but you know, we all have our struggles. So I'm going to try and follow the tips that I've learned, and hopefully they'll still turn out good. And then I'm just going to assemble the bowls. My plan for cooking the eggs is that I've cracked 6 eggs into this measuring cup. I'm going to add a splash of whole milk, and right before I add it to the pan, I'm going to add some salt and pepper and whisk it right before I put it into the pan. Then I'm going to cook it. So I know a lot of people say to cook it low and slow, but I've kind of had some issues when I do that. So I think I'm going to do it right here, right between medium, low, and medium. And then I'm going to not stir it too much. So I'm going to let it sit for a second, because I think that's part of my problem is I tend to stir them too much. And then at the very end, I'm going to add in my shredded cheese. Well, and I already stirred it. My pan was too hot, so don't listen to me. If you have any tips for this, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to leave them like this for right now. I think they're slightly undercooked because we're not going to eat for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to warm them up a little bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and add my cheese now. I don't think these turned out that bad, but, you know, I did have the pan a bit too hot, so I knew I wasn't going to get them perfect, but I'm learning. I'm getting there, so come back to show you what our bowls look like. Our starter salad tonight is romaine lettuce with a little bit of mixed greens, carrots, radish, cucumber, celery, apple cider vinaigrette, and some slivered almonds. Tonight's dinner is breakfast bowls with roasted sweet potatoes, scrambled eggs with a little hot sauce, some cilantro, black beans with red peppers and onions, tomatoes, pickled jalapenos, avocado, and some bacon. That's all that I have for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave me a comment. That would make my day if you left me a comment, and I hope you have a wonderful day.